Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another thrilling scene from the living world of darkness, Rage Across New York. We are setting this scene somewhat predictably on the Sept of the Green, where 10 Point has of late taken up residence. She has gone through her morning trek to the Cairn Heart to pay her respects to the Sept totems. She's done some walking around in the Umbra, some speaking to the various spirits, and has at this point settled, Umberside at least, right out in the middle of the sheep's meadow where it's very clear, very wide, very open, and the wind, plays across the open grass. And the point of interest that may bring one to investigate is that she has drawn out a violin, and we'll see how well she's doing. Not bad at all.
Thank you for not botching. That makes me happy.
Yes, that would have made me super sad, and probably meant she quickly put it away again. So she is passively just out in the center of this open field, Umberside, and playing the violin.
Finding Tempest, hearing this violin, something she's not accustomed to in New York, is definitely going to investigate because, well, people out here are stodgy.
It probably also doesn't hurt that these are definitely more Celtic themed tunes that she's kind of
Oh, I
playing with.
figured.
And so,
So
yeah,
Alana's coming, yeah. She's coming to see. She's got some sort of trap under her arm that she's carrying.
like a live capture trap.
Probably not.
Oh,
Knowing what it was used for.
oh dear. Not a good thing to
She's
just tote around. Ugh. But yeah, so the violin will continue to play kind of merry little playful tunes until such a point as Alana comes into sight, at which point it continues, but let's see if 10 Point spots her. She happens to come out in front, or she can sneak up if you like.
knowing the pack she just came from, she's probably sneaking up to you, not even intentionally.
You are welcome to roll, and I will see if I notice you.
I don't have my super amazing dice pool anymore
Aw,
because I lost Mother Anaconda.
I know. I'm sorry.
Now it's just a now it's just a decent dice pool.
Instead of an outrageous and obscene dice pool.
I have 3 successes.
And you know what? Actually, since you are actively sneaking as opposed to her just happening to notice as you walk up, I'm not even going to roll. I'm going to say with that many successes and her being very happily playing, actually, she will not notice at all. She's just standing out there barefoot in the grass, kind of dancing around a bit, probably entertaining some of the local pigeons in the process, and just playing and smiling and enjoying the sun.
She'll hear a voice from behind her. Not bad at that. I miss hearing music like that.
At which point she will probably almost immediately kind of strike an off note in surprise, um, whirling at the same time, wide eyed, to glance around. And with Alana probably standing right fucking there in a really distressingly adept fashion, uh, 10 Point will take a moment to remember, perhaps, who she's looking at, but upon recalling the rank gap, will hurriedly untuck the violin and admittedly hold it gingerly while starting the process of getting to the ground.
You're acting like you're a cublass. I'm not that far above you yet.
I find, Raya, that it is wise to err on the side of caution. But as she is perhaps halfway down, um, she will instead just kind of keep it a kneel and lift her chin.
She gives you a pat on the neck. Alright, get up.
And she will go ahead and hop right back up to her bare feet. Thank you, Raya.
You're welcome, Lois. That is quite a set of antlers.
And she'll kind of pause and somewhat daringly will kind of flick her eyes up to Alana's expression to kind of try to gauge if this is if there are any social cues as to whether this is a teasing thing, a flat, blunt statement, an expression of awe. Who knows, really? They're somehow a little more prominent in the Umbra, but
It's a look of curiosity, possibly. Perhaps she's contemplating something to do with those antlers.
and she will then after that brief kind of searching glance, drop her eyes again properly and say, "Yes, Raya."
Did they come out like that, or did they grow from smaller?
I shed them annually, Raya.
So you didn't have them full blown when you were born then?
No, Raya.
Well, that makes that situation a bit simpler. Having those come out, oh, that would have been painful for both parties.
But she somewhat blatantly doesn't seem to know how to respond. It's kind of an easy read expression wise as she kind of purses her lips thoughtfully for a second and just can't seem to come up with a response really.
Have you made yourself known to the Right Master yet?
I have not, Raya. I do not know the right master's name or where to seek him.
You can usually find him in the northern woods, here
Oh.
on Sipt.
And she'll glance to the north actually, kind of thoughtfully, because she has spent some little bit of time there. It simply hasn't happened across him.
A lot of us were fussing about up there yesterday when we were talking with what's going on.
I did hear some of that, Raya. Does this Metis who offended have a name?
Most recently, he was Radiant Spear. At the moment, he's personally a Radiant Fuck Up. He's
And
also known as Forlorn Judge.
the sass levels coax the tiniest little upturn at the corner of her lips. Not even enough to offend a lupus, really. Just the tiniest little sign of amusement.
I can't. You know, you arrive somewhere and you're told that you have Great White Mouse and Chimera as the totems of the Sept. and not to fuck with the rats. And then you go and kill them. You have to be daft in the head or just murderous, wanting to cause trouble.
I have tried to fathom the logic behind such a decision, Raya, and cannot do so myself.
It has to be either stupidity or maliciousness. I don't. It just. It baffles me. It baffles me.
Even if it is a mistake of stupidity, Raya, by time one is expressing stupidity at such an advanced level, it is a threat on its own and as bad as a malicious act.
It is.
Do you perhaps have some insight, Raya, in the state of the totem and perhaps what it would most appreciate? I know that the Philodoxes are to be involved, but perhaps something to soothe the spirit until they can meet and make their decisions.
At the moment, I don't know. What Great White Mouse had said is that they want the situation dealt with properly, and at the moment that's in the hands of the Philodoxes, which I'm not entirely sure about since, well, it's a spirit matter, but punishment falls under their category, and it's a very grey area at the moment.
It is, Raya, but I do believe that my beta has met with the local Philodox already, though I do not know what determinations have been made.
I'm not sure. I know Broken Whispers, the right master will probably let us know if there's anything else we need to do once the Philodoxes have completed their arcs. I was contemplating a Feast of Souls as part of an offering.
And let me look real fast because I'm pretty sure I know offhand what that is.
It's a Fianna, right?
Oh, yeah, Feast for the Spirits. Yep.
Feast for the Spirits, Feast for the Souls. Yeah,
And
that.
she, oh, will nod lightly. It seems wise, Raya. Rats brood often appreciate offerings of food. I would be more than willing to aid you in this in any way you might need, should you decide to do it.
I appreciate that. It's nice to have another Fianna Theurge around. Everybody here tends to be so stick in the mud.
And she kind of mulls that over, but appreciates that the likening is to their tribe rather than their breed. And again, it's the slight little upturn at the corner of the lips. It's not blatant, it's not a big thing, but it's kind of pointed considering she otherwise keeps a fairly flat expression. I can't say that I can sympathize yet, Raya, but I am only freshly gone from my home sept. It
Try
is.
spiral, you said, right?
Yes, Raya.
How did you get a silver fang growing up there? Well, that's what I'm curious about. Was there really grown that many silver fangs there?
I cannot speak to the total number, Raya, but I believe that there was something akin to the age-old process of an exchange of wards, where one sends their children to distant places to be reared, both to keep them safe from things that might attack at home and to give allies some leverage in that they hold the future of your bloodline. And if the Fianna are known for nothing else, we are certainly known for our hospitality.
Aye, that we are.
And so, my beta has spent much of his time at the Sept of the Tri-Spiral, living among us. He has some of his own kin, but has extended his influence to ours as well.
So how did you end up with them, with your pack? What drew you, the three of you together? Are there others?
They were kind enough, Raya, to take me in and accept the responsibility that comes with assuring that one such as myself does not forget my place.
She just gives a small nod.
I am grateful, Raya. They are strict, but they are not unkind. Not in the way that I am sure you're also familiar with.
Oh, aye. You'll find most on this sept are actually fairly liberal and should actually take to you quite well. There'll probably be some jesting about the antlers.
It has been somewhat. She kind of searches for the word disorienting, Raya?
She
I
nods with
am
a slight grin.
not familiar with earnest kindness. Gestures like that are more often.
The setup for some prank at your
Yes, Raya.
expense.
Exactly that.
The folks here tend to actually be genuinely serious about that. Just all the ones I've met.
It
Aiden's
has.
probably going to be the worst of them, but he's our Agabash, so there's not a lot that I can say about that. Saoirse, if you can prove yourself, is actually fairly accepting. If you become a fuck up like Forlorn has, she won't hold back. She may still jest at your expense, but she won't be malicious generally. Not that I've seen.
Should I ever err on such a level as that, especially as a Thayer Drea, I hope that you put me out of the Sept's misery.
That's what I want to do with Forlorn, but it's not in my hands.
If I may be frank, Raya,
Aye.
I rather hope that at the very least he is cast from the sept as Ronin. It is deeply disrespectful to be accepted into a sept and go so tidily about the process of
Desecrating it.
angering, yes, the totems that provide for the sept. Regardless of why, it is still malicious in the end.
Honestly, he killed rats and left them as an offering. He should be killed and left as an offering. That's my opinion. But, like I said, I'm not a Philodux. And if they left it up to the Theurges, since this is kind of a spirit matter, that's what I would push for. Blood for blood.
I think that you would not be alone, Raya, in your opinion.
Just means he makes it worse for the rest of us. We'll be far more scrutinized. They'll be expecting us to start screwing up like he did. Which means we have to be doubly careful.
And she takes a moment, perhaps, to catch the correlation, but then nods rather deeply in agreement, which sets up a light jingle.
You have bells on there, that's not going to make for sneaking very well.
They are not meant for sneaking, Raya.
I suppose my last pack, full of Anaconda. So stealth was important for us. Guess I still think about things in that manner.
Should my pack require stealth of me, Raya, I can undo the bindings and stow them. But in the meantime, they provide my pack a way to find me, and others a very simple, inoffensive way to avoid me.
Makes sense.
And she just kind of purses her lips a bit. And she has, for the better part of the conversation, kept her eyes fairly low.
If you need any help, or if you want to learn any rights that I might know, let me know. I'll be happy to help.
Thank you, Raya. It would be, I think, much easier in this case to come to you. I appreciate your offer and will take you up on it.
I'd say you could go to Talatahine, find alright. She's Wendigo though, so her
I'd
willingness
heard.
to share with Fiona is tends to not be very high.
I had suspected as much, Raya. Is there perhaps anything I should know, Raya, about the keeper of the land or the master of the rights, so that I may approach them knowledgeably?
The right master, Broken Whispers, is an Adrian. And I won't tell you his tribe because he tends to use that as a tool the first time he meets the urges, see how well they can pick up on things.
There's
to
a
gauge you.
slight cant of head, but she'll nod acceptance.
The keeper of the land is currently healing, resting up. Is a Fiona, and very traditional from what I've seen. And by from what I've seen, I mean the glares I got at the last moot for stepping forward and speaking. Having been one of the only folk there that could speak on something, it was, and being the highest rank of those that were, it was upon me to tell about it.
I don't suppose you happen to know if he has any particular vices, Drea, that might be appealed to.
If you need to deal with him, I'd recommend having a hominid intermediary. Pumbaa's fairly accepting as far as the theurges go, even if he can be a bit locked in the head. He speaks before he thinks a lot of times, from the way it seems. His alpha, now that he's in the Shadowrunners, has tempered that quite a bit. He still has his moments though. Felix, if he can forget that you're Metis for even a moment, will tend to be fairly helpful. But he's still got a bit of prejudice. I suppose it all depends on how you act. And now we're back to Forlorn because he's fucked it all up for all of us. Just be careful. Be ready for a beating. Because somebody's mad at him. They can't take it out on him.
Of course, Raya.
I know it doesn't help, but just be aware it's not you that they're mad at right now. A beating's still a beating.
It is. But if it helps to expend their rage so that they can focus again, it is not a waste.
Aye. Have you learned to make any talons yet?
No, Raya. But I would be eager to learn if you were willing to teach.
I know a couple few. I can show them to you if you'd like at some point.
I would appreciate that. The faster I learn, the more that I can offer to the Sept and to my pack. The more I secure my right to be more than a death in the place of another.
That's what we can hope for. One day be accepted. Walk into Gaia's embrace. Happily.
Ah, yes, Raya.
Well, I'm on my way to see the right master, waiting for him to tell me if I can do the awakening here or if he'd prefer me to do it off Sept.
Awakening?
Awakening the spirit, and she gestures to the trap under her arm.
There's a little. There's a glance, of course, to where she's gesturing, and then just a kind of a scrunch of her nose.
There shouldn't be traps where they're at on Sept. I want to know if this is part of what he did, or if we have another person who's been a part of this as well. Because if this is more than just one person, I don't want to have a second incident and make this even worse and have many people die because of it.
Then I guess you found it in a neutral place, a place that was not just his.
Aye.
Could you perhaps tell me where so that I can stay on the lookout in case there are more?
Keep an eye on any places where rats tend to congregate near dumpsters, the every meal. Where else do they tend to?
And she'll
Near
nod.
housing. Some of
I've
the
explored some of these places, Raya, and become familiar with them.
some of the housing, especially near the cub cabins, though they're basically empty now. They have some places in them for the mice and rats, purposefully put in for them.
I will keep a cautious eye where I can, Raya. Though I obviously cannot explore the Tellurian in some portions of the set.
Aye. Unless, of course, you cut off your antlers and pull the hood up over to hide the nubs. Get you a hoodie and put them off, and you can wander around for at least the afternoon, I'd suppose.
She kind of, and I won't make you roll for it because I'm sure you're studying her fairly closely. She kind of cringes at the notion.
I know. You don't want to lose your connection to Stag and who you are. And it could be seen, I suppose, as trying to hide your deformity. But you can also justify it as protecting the veil.
I can, Raya, but I think I would never take such an action unless bid to do so by a ranking guru or one of my packmates.
Understandable. How fast do they grow back?
When they shed?
Aye.
Within a month. It is, after all, growing bone, Raya.
Aye, that it is.
I am afforded some brief time where, with the permission of those that outrank me, I can conceal the base of them and walk the Tellurian. Freely, even, but it is a brief time.
So you usually shed them October, November?
Usually later, in usually about December, end of the year.
So these are freshly grown back then? Early.
Fairly, Raya.
I suppose it is April now. My, how time flies when you've spent 10 weeks in the Amazon.
I'd imagine so, Raya. When did this take place? Ah, no, I remember the news about the Silver King.
We left for the Amazon, the first batch of us, back in December. And we've been back now. Has it been 3 weeks? 2 to 3 weeks, I suppose. Roundabout.
It does explain why we waited so long to join our alpha.
Could have come to the Amazon. You'd have been free to walk around. There was no veil to protect.
It might have been nice. But the Amazon is not an especially hospitable place.
that it's not. Well, it's a bit more hospitable, thanks to myself and my pack. We managed to bolster our allies down there, reaffirm ones we already had, and truly gain others.
All the better then for those who fight the long war down there.
I don't ever recommend playing with skull pigs. They're not pretty and they're not fun, especially in mass.
I should think not. And she kind of gives a little like, huh, very briefly. Doesn't do a full body shudder or anything, but there's definitely kind of the sympathetic like, yeah.
Massive herds of them being driven at the sept from several directions. Mountains of these carcasses as they'd stampede the dead. Oh, that was quite a sight. And quite a battle, standing shoulder to shoulder with Bogle Fangs first, as we defended the heart of the cairn from this onslaught.
I have heard some portions of the tale read.
I don't know that a tale could ever really explain how it felt though. That's something I'll always remember.
And she's begun smiling a little more freely, a little less reserved in it. It does sound like quite the experience.
It was glorious. Pretty sure everyone was spent at the end of that. Not an ounce of rage or gnosis to be seen. A war on both the Tellurian and the Umbra. Blood chiminage paid.
It sounds as though you did as you should and gave all that you had to defend a cairn.
Actually did it twice.
Twice.
The second time, there was this being called himself an elder god, and we were trying to weaken him, destroying his fonts of power. He had stones imbued with his heretical glyphs, glyphs of fear. And when I ran out of gnosis to change them, began doing it with blood. The other Garo I had with me beat him down. He then separated it into two, and they continued to fight on. He was worse creature than most anything, changing the Umbra and fusing the Umbra and the Tellurian, and then changing it at a whim about him. Ground instantly turned into magma beneath our feet.
That was a rare ability, yes.
With the aid of Anathro, Ra's fire, he called down the fury of the sun to finally burn out the creature once we'd incapacitated it. The creature had angered the sun by claiming that he was the oldest and most powerful creature around, more powerful than any spirit. I suppose we showed who was right.
Then it is done then, and the creature, the spirit is gone.
She nods.
Well and good.
We could hurl silver in every direction all at once.
That'll get a sympathetic cringe.
Between being struck with silver and having to use my own lifeblood, that was probably a tougher fight, all in all. I had to use the lifeblood of all the Garou present.
A better testament then to your service of Gaia that you survived. Clearly you
We all
have
did.
more to do.
We all survived, thankfully. Okay, well, I don't want to keep the Great Master waiting.
Ah, yes. Thank
Fianna
you.
have a castle here on Sept. If you've not seen it, all Fianna are welcome in it. You can often find me there if I'm not out and about, tending to spirits.
Thank you, Raya. I had seen it, but had not investigated.
You and your Alpha are welcome there. There is a bar that your beta would also be welcome in it, but staying there's purely for Fianna. Be they guests or Sept members.
Very well, Raya. Thank you.
Alas. Make me proud as she pats you on the shoulder as she starts to walk off.
And she'll give a light nod at the pat and give Alana some time to make a little distance. And once she's kind of reached that respectable gap, we'll finally rouse the violin again and tuck it under her chin and begin that first kind of tentative few notes as she starts to play. And with that interesting run in Fianna Metis squared, we will say thank you, players, for playing, and thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you next time on The Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.